Hello, folks. Thank you for joining us for another Vintage Legends. So tonight we are joined from Belgium from Thomas from Slingshot Bikini. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a wonderful. I've got some actual natural daylight on me just now, which must be like the first interview this year when I have some daylight rather than yeah,
Yeah, just sun setting down now here in Belgium.
yeah. Like give it another maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and we'll be there as well. So I'll bask in the glow for just now.
Yeah, it's healthy.
Exactly. From Scotland, man. So you don't get much sunshine.
Oh.
Well, listen, thanks for joining us. I know that you guys, I think you mentioned you guys are quite new to discovering vintage. So tell us a bit more about your music to start with.
Okay, we're Slingshot Bikini, and Thomas, as you mentioned, and I'm the guitar player for Slingshot Bikini. Slingshot Bikini is a instrumental surf band. Instrumental surf band is in the style of Dick Dale, The Ventures. We updated the sound a little. It's a little more aggressive, a little more entertaining, little louder drums, but still in the style of the Ventures. High energy live band, but we're also on Spotify, on Bandcamp. We're making waves. The surf world, as they say, is a relatively small world, but since the internet, since the World Wide Web, it's the community is of course as big as the world, as small as it is. So we're making waves in that community, and we're a top band in the surf, however small it is. So it's exciting for us, and it's very exciting to be linked to vintage guitars, of course.
Well, listen, I've been able to check out some of your stuff, and I really dig that. It's not what I would probably have as my go-to, but it doesn't really matter what genre something is. If it's good music, it's good music.
Yeah,
No
and
doubt.
and that's an interesting thing. When we play festivals, it's usually not all the only surf. It's usually we're the only surf band. So it's
Yeah.
in that in that way, we're usually very welcome in a day full of punk or full of cover bands with something different, and that works really well for us. So yeah.
Especially it's just such a unique kind of sound. So
Yeah,
it's instantly recognizable. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It is. It is.
And your connection with vintage, and I know, like I say, you guys are quite new to discovering vintage. How did you find them? What happened there?
Yeah, I was thinking about how do I know vintage, and when I was young, I was always reading every guitar magazine front to back, and I used to be hip to them even before they were vintage. They were Encore a long time ago,
Yeah, yeah,
and I remember those ads, and I remember seeing those guitars, and it's sort of always been on my mind, on my radar, the brand, because I like the style very much.
yeah.
And I don't think they were here in the stores that much, but a good 10 years ago, I was going to play in a blues band, acoustic style blues band, and I needed a resonator. And then I bought this one.
Okay.
See, it's a tricone, and it's a
Yeah,
vintage, and
yeah.
it's a really good one. Yeah, it's from 10 years ago, and at that time I needed one, and I went to a really big acoustic guitar store, and I tried about 20 resonator guitars, and I picked up that one. So even 10 years ago, I was quite impressed by vintage.
That's awesome. So I thought you were a bit more kind of new to discovering them. So that's cool. I didn't
No,
realize
yeah,
that was long.
yeah, I rediscovered them quite recently because in the surf band, everyone uses the offset guitars like
Yeah,
the Jazz Master Jaguar. That's basically the standard. And I have I've used the offset Ventures model. It's a signature model that's no longer in production, and it has the big blocks with typical tremolo, all the things. And I saw the new line, the Revo, and I saw them just by a picture, and it ticked all the boxes. And I was in trouble with my old guitar because it went out of tune. The neck was out of shape, little
Okay.
things, but guitars tend to have that. So I went to a store and I tried one, and I really liked it. And then I thought, I'll send a mail to Vintage, and somehow we worked out the endorsement, and it's really flattering for us, and still can't believe it happened, but totally glad it did. I got this guitar. It's
Let's see.
yeah, the Vintage Revo, and what I really like about it, it has the big blocks like my old guitar.
Yeah.
It has the styling of an offset guitar, of the classic one, but it has a few upgrades, and in that it's really great. And especially for surf, we always use the tremolo
Yeah.
all gig long. And one thing, the other models, this bridge is supposed to move like this,
Yeah.
and it always goes out of tune. And this one has rollers, so it
Yeah.
goes back and forth with the string, so there's no friction. It just moves along. Also, usually on other guitars they have the string rollers here. These ones don't have. They have staggered, so different heights of
Yeah.
tuners. Given all that and a grab tech bridge, there's no friction on the strings. So if you really dig in a whole gig long with the tremolo, it's still in tune. It's something quite new for me because I'm used to having to tune every second song. So it's to me it's a God gift, this setup. I'm like, why haven't they thought of that 50 years? I could have thought of it 20 years ago, but it's just for me now. Right, there we have it. They found it, figured it out. It's really great.
It's definitely got to be one of the most soul destroying parts of any gig is when you're between songs and you get that moment where your hand up at the headstock, head
Yeah.
down facing the tuner.
And all the more with surf because we're a three-piece and there's no vocals, so I'm not gonna be on the mic like, oh, no. It's every gig without tuning. It's great. And with this guitar, I've had a few gigs just without looking down at the tuner. It's really
Bliss.
it's a blessing. Yeah. Also, and it's a little things, but these have a bass cut and a treble cut instead of a double system. You know, they have
Yeah,
a rhythm circuit on a regular offset guitar.
yeah.
These don't have that. And I would always knock him over and don't know why it's a sound different. These don't have it. It's totally, it's good stuff. Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, I'm really glad with it. And another thing, and in the best way possible, I do tours, but not all in luxury hotels and luxury buses. These things sometimes sleep in the van, or
Yeah,
they we set up the stage. We have to go somewhere else for dinner for the band. And if this was stolen from a stage, I would be heartbroken. But it wouldn't be as bad as a custom shop thing being stolen because I could replace it. And
yeah,
it will still be heartbroken if it happened, and it did happen to me in the past. But it's sort of more, yeah, less of a heartbreak to leave it behind a
yeah,
little bit or have it in a car and the car going over bumps.
yeah. I
I'm
think as
still,
well, I think definitely it's the fact that if you go out and buy, I don't know, like a Fender, in the same sort of, region spec wise, how much did you just pay for that, man? If something
yeah,
happens to that, that's not cheap to replace. It's the really good thing about the vintage stuff is that you get really cool stuff.
yeah.
But if it was to go a bit wrong and something happens to it, you can afford to replace it. As much as you say it's heartbreaking for these things to happen to your gear, it's the fact that it's like, right, well, that was shit, but I can get another one. It's rather
And
than
yeah, and if you play 2 or 3 gigs a year, it's not likely to happen. But recently, I've been playing 2 or 3 gigs a week.
yeah,
It's for sure something's going to happen. Not this month, maybe next month, but it will happen. So
yeah,
it's something that's not so much on my mind anymore. I'm really glad with that.
yeah. And this is the now do correct me if I'm wrong here, but you play left-handed, but the guitar is strung right-handed.
Yeah,
That
yeah, it's
is just mind blowing. It's not even
yeah,
like Jimi Hendrix with a right-hand guitar player played left.
yeah. It's actually Jimi Hendrix had the guitar like this, but the strings the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
mean.
Dick Dale did use them like this, and Dick Dale is of
Really?
course the surf guitar god, but it's not. And what's his name? Doyle Bramhall and Albert King.
Yeah.
There are quite a few. Bob Geldof, if I'm not wrong. But the thing is, I grew up in a house with my father, like everyone, but full of guitars. He's a guitar player, but he's
Okay.
not a lefty. So
Right, okay.
instead of getting a real cheap guitar and that being the only one I could play, I would pick up his guitars always and learned how to play like this. And
That's
you
mad.
mention it now, and it's weird, and people sometimes think it's a party trick, but for me, it's natural. I've been doing it
It's just the
all
way
my
it is.
life. Yeah, it's just the way it is. And I also we play surf. There's not much to see at a band of three guys holding a guitar. So we do stuff like holding it behind our back, holding it duck walk with our hands under our knee, and then still playing the guitar. All crazy stuff. So people do think it's a party trick, but no, because I really have to focus on the playing also. But
That's unfair though. I have got enough trouble just actually playing the thing as a right-hand guitar player playing a right-handed guitar. So
no, it's hard for me too. And even the silly things I had to practice. So it's
yeah,
all
just
good.
fair play, you put the time into it. And I think that's really cool though, just being able to, like you say, take something that is there and just go with it rather than getting some cheapy thing that maybe you wouldn't get on as well with, I think it's a good shout. And in terms and for what you mentioned so far, like the guitar seems to have a lot of stuff just the way you want it, but I'm still curious if you were going to get a hold of your own kind of pro shop model or something, what would you get?
Yeah, it that's a trick on the mind for me. I was looking at the site and I was kid in a candy store feeling, and I would put just yeah put a humbucker in it, a Bigsby aged, and then, but somehow I always thought that I've had that in the past or no, and I would come back to this model,
Yeah,
maybe just. The other thing is, I like musicians like, say, Rory Gallagher or Brian May for Queen. They have
yeah,
one guitar and the whole career with one guitar, or at least one style of guitar, one look.
yeah,
And I really like that. And if Slingshot Bikini has been doing gigs for nearly 18 years, and if you look at first pictures, I'm holding the same style of guitar, and
yeah.
I really want that. If you see a picture of me with that guitar, you know it's Slingshot Bikini. So I'm intrigued, and I really want to go in that route. But that, I know it's tempting, but I'm not really going down there. That said, I'm really obsessed by the Garden Guild Wrap acoustic model from Vintage.
Right, okay.
It's not a pro mod, but that one ticks a lot of boxes for me. If I want to go the finger style, and which I like to do in my own time, that would be something I really like. And the Cherry Donue, because I'm a big fan of the Helicosters. So
Yeah,
that's uh, that's something I wouldn't mind having. But those
yeah,
are standard models, not the pro mods. But yeah, yeah, I have to look twice at most of the vintage normal line, especially the Revo line. I'm like, oh, that's nice, but you can't have them all.
yeah. I know. Well,
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
whose team are you on? Do you reckon if you were going to get something like the offset, what kind of color do you think you would go for?
Probably a gold flake. It's the yeah gold flake. It's the wait, Dick Dale color, but also I don't know five artists who have a gold flake, so it would be really eye-catching, and
Yeah,
that's something I like. Yeah,
it makes a statement, doesn't it?
makes a statement. That's it. That's it. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, music-wise, have you got anything lined up? I know you said you've been very kind of active this last while. Do you have anything lined up in terms of any releases coming up for new music or?
Yeah, actually, we talked about the surf thing till now, but I also play, and might be shocked, but maybe not, in a party band in Belgium, one of the bigger
Okay,
party bands. So this whole summer, whole summer, the June, July, August, I'm gonna play weekend after weekend gigs for say 500 to 3,000 people at a in a tour with everything you want, with pyrotechnics, with in-ear monitoring, with stage hands, with two light guys, two sound guys. So
amazing.
as small as Slingshot Bikini might be to some people, I do bigger stuff. It's just not artistically fulfilling for me. So it's
It's
just
your
something
passion. Yeah.
I do as a guitar player. And that said, I also tour with Lonnie Kalula and the Bad Samaritans. And that's a little bit closer to my heart. They had a CD already. I played some guitar of that as a session man. And now I joined the band and I've been writing a new album with them. And that really, yeah, it gives me artistic fulfillment, and we get to do some things that I really like. So
Yeah, that's the important thing because
uh,
everyone has to pay the bills, but it's nice to be able to do both, you know.
yeah. It's a discussion I had with other people. They say, when are you a pro musician? I say, when you're paid, but it's better to be non-professional and fulfilled than getting paid. It doesn't really mean a thing. If you might as well wash dishes.
No, exactly. I think it's the right attitude. But no, that's really cool. And as you say, you can find you guys on Spotify and all the usual places. Yeah.
Yeah. Recently got with vintage guitars. I try to post some clips here and there, and I see that they repost it, so there'll be no getting around me soon.
Good. That's what we're aiming for next year. We want to be headlining some festivals with Slingshot
Yeah,
Bikini. That's what we're after next year. Right.
yeah. That's another thing I did since recently. I never done that, but apart from music, I'm getting into organizing gigs, and I've
Okay.
noticed that ever since I've been doing that, the things are going exponentially bigger. So because
Cool.
if you do it yourself, you're so much more driven than anyone you ask to do
Yeah.
it. And if there's anything I want to give away to any other musician, stand up for your own good and organize your own gigs. Get bypass bookers and just go to venues. Just go to other bands. It gets your career to a next level so fast.
It's such a powerful thing to be able to network with other people from different bands and to organize different things yourself because, like you say, there's the different level of kind of intention with getting people along to the gig because promoters, and this is definitely not a pop at all promoters, but there are a lot of I've found in the past smaller promoters who don't really do a whole lot more than book a venue and then expect you to, do all the kind of hard work and then turn up and pay them. And you're like, I could have just done that myself, and I would have pushed it
That's
more
it.
on social media and stuff and
Hmm.
get together with good folks from good bands and,
Yeah. There's
bring
no
along people to
one.
have some fun.
Yeah, no one's going to give as much for your music as you do yourself. So, and the other thing is, if you wait for your phone, it's going to ring 2 or 3 times a year. But if you pick up your phone and you call everyone else, someone will answer, and you get exponentially more gigs, exponentially more opportunities. It's something I had to learn, but I'm glad I did. It's,
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely valuable for valuable advice. Listen, let me say thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really do appreciate it. And everyone you can find us obviously in the Vintage Guitar Players group. You can find Slingshot Bikini on all sorts of different platforms, Instagram and Spotify and all the rest of it. So get checking them out and get following, and hopefully we'll get you some dates across here in Glasgow at some point soon as well.
That would be nice. Thank
Listen,
you.
listen, well, thanks so much, man.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.